New updates in the Sean Diddy Combs legal saga. The rap mogul gets an official sentencing date. He gets hit with allegations from a shocking new lawsuit. A juror speaks out, and also, apparently, Diddy receives a standing ovation from inmates.
Diddy stood in court as the judge read the decision. Immediate jail time. The room went silent. And then, in front of the entire courtroom, Diddy broke down in tears. For years, he's managed to stay above the chaos. Powerful attorneys, endless delays, and silence from those who knew too much. But this time, the system finally pushed back. Now, with sentencing confirmed and his future on the line, many are asking, was this justice finally catching up? Or just another twist in a case full of unanswered questions? Let's break down everything that happened in that courtroom. And what's next? The charge that ultimately sealed Diddy's fate? Transportation for the purpose of prostitution. A federal offense with serious implications and one that prosecutors said they had the most solid evidence on. According to the court, Diddy knowingly used private jets and company resources to move individuals across state lines, not for business meetings or concerts, but for exploitation. This charge carried weight because it wasn't based on speculation. There were receipts, flight logs, surveillance, witnesses. Some of the same individuals who had stayed silent for years finally spoke, confirming what many had only suspected.
There's so much buzz around the Diddy trial, but what exactly is he charged with, you might be wondering? Well, one is racketeering by conspiracy. That's a very serious charge. It actually has a maximum life sentence attached to it. But what does it mean? Well, under the RICO statute, the government can prosecute organizations for their participation in a crime. Here's where that evidence around the so-called freak-offs might come into play. Then you've got sex trafficking, another very serious crime. What's it mean? Well, soliciting or harboring or getting someone to involve themselves in commercial sex acts without their consent. Fraud, force, intimidation could all be used there as well. Then you've got the third crime. You've got transportation for the purpose of prostitution, moving someone to engage in commercial sex act. Doesn't have to be for money. It could be in exchange for something like a career move or affection of some kind or anything else.
The prosecution built its case carefully. Instead of chasing everything at once, trafficking, racketeering, or financial crimes, they focused on what they knew they could prove right now. They zeroed in on the logistics. Who was flown where, for what purpose, and how the transactions were handled. And that's what stuck. Even though other, more explosive charges were discussed in public, like abuse, threats, and cover-ups, the transportation charge was the one that forced the judge's hand. It was specific. It was documented.
We're proud of him. We are completely honored that he put his faith and his trust in us to fight for him. Today is a major win to show what the system can do. We appreciate and we're so thankful to the jury. Thank you to the court.
And it was serious enough for the court to issue immediate jail time without waiting for further hearings. Legal analysts say this is a classic move. Target the provable offense first, then use it as leverage for everything else that might come out later. Now that Diddy is officially behind bars, the biggest question circling the industry is simple. Is he really going to stay there? Because here's the thing, this may not be the end. In fact, many legal insiders believe it's just the start of Diddy's next move.
Because P. Diddy was found not guilty on 3 out of the 5 charges, a lot of people who testified against him are really worried about their safety. Don't get me wrong, there's still a very good chance he could be sentenced to jail, but it's probably going to be for a very short amount of time. And allegedly right before the verdict, P. Diddy whispered to his family that he is coming home today. So it seems like he knew something about the jury that the public didn't. But considering Diddy is so rich and powerful, a lot of people are concerned that he is going to go after the people who testified against him just to get some revenge. To make things even crazier, people in the streets were celebrating his freedom, with a lot of his fans spraying each other with baby oil. Not to mention his immediate family looked very happy leaving the courtroom.
According to sources close to his team, Diddy's lawyers are already preparing a strategy that hinges on one goal: early release. They're not just sitting back and accepting the sentence. They're actively working to find the pressure points, whether it's appealing the conviction, negotiating reduced time, or pushing for alternative sentencing. And there's reason to believe it might actually work. Diddy still holds a powerful network. from former business allies to legal consultants with deep experience in federal cases. Behind closed doors, those resources are being activated quickly. One insider told us his team has already drafted a motion to challenge the severity of the sentence, arguing that while the charge is serious, the evidence didn't prove intent to exploit at the level required for the punishment given. That kind of legal argument has worked before. In high-profile federal cases, technicalities, procedural errors, and plea bargains have all played major roles in reducing time behind bars. And Diddy's legal team knows that.
What do you think about this Diddy thing that just happened this morning?
Kind of crazy.
He's free.
I'll tell you what, Kurt Metzger called this from the beginning. And especially when he found out that Comey's daughter was going to be the judge. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
Yeah. Wasn't she the same judge on the Ghislaine Maxwell case? Yeah.
Oh, yes, I did hear this.
Yeah. Bro, where's the videos? They were telling us that videos are going to come out, incredibly high-profile people doing horrendous things, evil things. People are going to go to jail. People are going to be shocked.
Yeah.
Where?
Right.
Nothing.
But it's not just about the courtroom. There's a real concern that public pressure could also influence the outcome, especially if key voices from the music industry stay silent or start pushing back against the case. Over the last decade, we've seen multiple public figures avoid long-term jail time under intense scrutiny, either because of money, connections, or legal maneuvering. Diddy's case might follow a similar path, because for all the public drama, behind the scenes it often comes down to one question: what can be negotiated?
He really wouldn't be spending that much time behind bars. Now, of course, there are the extremes. When you talk about transportation to engage in prostitution, the maximum for each count is 10 years in prison. You stack them together, you get 20 years. Okay, based upon the facts in this case, it seems highly unlikely he would get that much. Other side, you get the idea. There's no minimum for this charge. So could he get time served and walk free? Also seems unlikely, in that you're dealing with multiple instances of transporting Jane and Cassie, the two victims in this case, and men across state lines for the purposes of sex work. You could say this is an aggravating factor why I don't think he's just going to get time served.
Still, prosecutors aren't backing down. They've made it clear they want this sentence to stand. And more importantly, they're watching for any moves from Diddy's team that suggest he's still pulling strings, especially if attempts to influence witnesses or media begin to surface again. Meanwhile, some reports claim Diddy is already being treated as a high-profile inmate, placed in protective custody to avoid conflict inside. That alone might shift the timeline. Certain conditions in federal custody allow for health-based, safety-based, or even cooperation-based early release, especially if the inmate is deemed non-violent or vulnerable. If Diddy's conviction and jail time shocked the industry, then the spotlight is now swinging back to the person who lit the match, Cassie. It's easy to forget in all the legal chaos just how significant her decision was. For years, she was silent, a quiet fixture in Diddy's orbit. But when she stepped forward with explosive allegations, painting a picture of emotional manipulation, control, and long-term abuse, it broke open a case that had been sealed by fear and silence for decades. Now that Diddy has been ordered to serve time, the question isn't just what happens to him, it's also what does this mean for Cassie? To start with, vindication. While her civil suit was settled before ever going to trial, it was that filing and its deeply detailed timeline of alleged incidents that shifted public perception of Diddy in an instant. Her voice gave power to others. And almost overnight, a wave of people, from former employees to other alleged victims, started coming forward with their own accounts. Cassie wasn't just speaking for herself, she unknowingly opened the door for a wider reckoning. Now, with a judge confirming jail time in a separate but related charge, many are seeing this as confirmation that there was truth in the noise. Even though Diddy wasn't criminally charged in Cassie's case, her story was the first domino. And for her, that means two things: validation and risk. Because while the legal system is finally catching up with him, Cassie's safety is now an even bigger concern. Sources close to the situation say that since the trial picked up speed, Cassie has significantly reduced public appearances, declined interviews, and reinforced her private security. It's not paranoia, it's preparation. But let us know your thoughts. Do you think this is finally justice for Cassie, or is Diddy still going to find a way out? Drop your take in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe.